Hello and welcome. Welcome back if you've been here before. Welcome for the very first time if you've somehow found your way to this channel. It's lovely to have you here. This video is the story of how I rediscovered my love of just making small, ridiculous, fun projects. Now, when I got started, I just made small things all the time because it was interesting. But over the years, I'm extremely lucky to be able to say that I've got real busy in the industry. We're shipping a full commercial game later this year, and it's gone from just something I built in my bedroom to a whole team working on it. It's absolutely awesome. And one thing that I can't stress enough is how much work it is. Every little tiny detail in a big video game just takes unfathomable amounts of time. And the more complex it gets, the more people it takes, the more coordination, the more planning. For big projects, you really would be surprised how much even the small things take to get right. And no, this isn't an AI yapping vibe coding video. This is more about just going back to small ridiculous things. Having the fun where you don't need to think about scalable, maintainable systems and you just go from idea to execution really quick. Now, initially, this wasn't going to be a video about making stuff or testing the latest version of Unreal Engine. This was just going to be a video about, well, basically testing Unreal for Linux. Windows in the last couple of years has gotten a little bit So obviously, I wanted to see, okay, Linux gaming is great, what about developing? Now, I'm going to save you 20 minutes and just say there were a lot of crashes. A lot. It's not really something that's being focused on clearly for Epic. Plus, a lot of the 3D tools and development tools that devs use don't run natively on Linux. It's not a deal breaker, but it's not the smooth, seamless experience I would have wanted. So, I left this project alone and I got back to work for the big stuff for a good number of months. In fact, I completely repurposed my Linux machine to be a home server, so the project was kind of completely dead. But then a couple of weeks ago, Unreal announced Unreal 5.8 and put it into preview. And along with it, they released their roadmap for things that they're working on at the moment. And it was looking pretty good. The thing that really caught my eye was the mid-performance Lumen. So that's basically, obviously, at this point, I think everyone knows what Lumen is. And it's gone from 4 years ago being the single best thing on the planet to now being something that is synonymous with performance difficulty. Now, some games have got it right, but it's by no means easy, and it still does feel like a kind of high-end feature. So it was interesting to see Epic say, okay, this one's going to work at 60 on a Steam Deck. Interesting. So that kind of got me thinking, okay, right, the big games that we're making, we still really focus on performance. We bake our lighting, we run a slightly more old-school rendering pipeline. So I don't really get to play with the cutting-edge stuff. And that's all I really wanted to do. I wanted to basically be quick and fast and check out how the performance was going. And it was a good excuse to get this opening back up. So let's go for a music change. Let's see what we did for the process. Yup, that'll do. For this video, chill sci-fi music is out and chill electronic jazz is in. Now, when you make a big game, I highly recommend crafting your own worlds. Design them, model them, build them, make them yours. Take your time, it's definitely worth it. But when you're doing little tiny projects, do what you want. Realistically, do whatever it takes just to kind of get from A to B without blockers. To that end, I found an asset pack that I just happened to have lying around in my library. And yeah, as far as asset packs go, it was fine. All the trees were kind of weirdly set up, the shaders were totally odd. But it did the job. All I needed it for was to throw a bunch of fog in it and use it as a kind of background just to basically just keep moving forward and keep the blockers away. And to be honest, for a small thing like this, I treat it like a filming location. It'll be kind of interesting how the actual base you start with directs what you design. So with just a bit of messing around, you can really see that exponential height fog these days, especially when you use real-time lighting, is crazy good. Not perfect, but crazy good. This asset pack actually broke a lot of the rules that I typically have for building worlds. One of the big sins it committed is all the walls were really thin. So I typically recommend making your walls fairly thick. There's a lot of voxel and grid-based effects in Unreal that will kind of bleed through your walls if you're not careful. So you can actually see here, there's a lot of areas where it doesn't look great. But we don't care, it's fine. One of the other things that has come to apparently being fully production ready in 5.8 is MegaLights. Now, if anyone's seen MegaLights, it allegedly is a way to have hundreds or thousands of lights in a scene without really losing much in the way of performance. And that seems pretty high-tech and bleeding edge. And it is. But Nvidia have already done this with their restir algorithm, which I think they announced back in 2020. And I'm pretty sure they were already white papers before then as well. But regardless, it's an extremely cool feature if it turns out to perform well. You know, basically, we'll see. We'll play around with it a bunch and see if it's good. It sounds awesome, and I want to have a go. Now, for this project, I wanted to have a little character. Some kind of companion or friend to go with you through the little experience. I wanted it to be full of yap, maybe your friend, maybe it has its own motives. And given that this whole thing's going to be covered in fog, I wanted it to be mysterious. So, in the interest of being quick, our character is a glowing point of light in the fog. And honestly, it looks pretty cool. Now, next thing we're going to do is basically just get them moving around the level very simply. And we're going to build a very simple narrative skeleton system to allow us to string together a little story and pilot this character. I'm going to be honest here. We've been working with big frameworks and code bases that we've built over like 4 years for a while now, so building stuff from scratch was awesome. But some of the stuff I built initially was rough. So a lot of this we refactored, but not much. Cool. We got movement, we got an orb. What's next? I think voices. Now, honestly, I recorded these voices a while ago. Back when I was doing this Linux project, the entire idea of this was, what can you make with a really simple computer? Or, in effect, what you've got lying around. So I decided to record all of the dialogue on my phone. Even though my recording setup is fine. So I literally just yapped into my phone. No script, just yap. And that is kind of what became the actual idea of the story. Well, story's a strong word. Here's a clip.
Hey. Was that a scan? I really can't tell, of course. I have no idea what a scan even is. But I just want to make sure that you didn't just try to scan anything, alright? Nothing to hide, of course, nothing to see, but just, don't press F. Don't press F. For some reason, of course. Just don't do it, please.
I mean, yeah, you get the vibe. Yap. It was great fun, honestly. Had a lovely time. But the thing is, I recorded these on a phone. How am I going to get them sounding good? And this is where today's sponsor... Nah, I'm just kidding. Actually, the opposite. So, I was playing around with Adobe Podcasts for like 5 minutes 6 months ago for work. It is basically a tool that cleans up audio. I think it uses AI. It's pretty good. And I forgot to unsubscribe for 6 months. So we're going to use that. Here's a before and after.
Oh, well done. I'm so proud of you. So proud that I could,
Kill you with my proudness and gratitude. I just smother you. Oh, lovely.
Okay. No worries. Just promise me one thing, okay? Whatever you do not press F to scan, okay?
Got it?
Do not press F to scan. It's
Vitally important.
you don't press F to scan.
And I reckon that's pretty good. Now, a proper audio expert probably has a million reasons why, this is flawed. It's not AAA grade. It's not industry grade. And I'll believe it. Good audio is hard. But it sounds a lot better than it did before. So I'll take it. So, we've got a little character. We have a world. What's next? There's one more thing I want to play around with before I just do some hooking up. Do you remember that Unreal MegaLights announcement video? I wouldn't blame you if you don't. But it was cool. They had this really cool moment where like 4,000 lights turned on in real time. And that was properly, immensely impressive. So I want to have a little go at that. So I just scattered a whole bunch of triggerable light blueprints across the level. So, check it out. At the press of a button, I can get all these lights to turn on and completely change the character of the scene. Awesome! When we use backlighting, we just quite simply can't do that. Well, almost, unless you do a bunch of hacks. So we'll definitely loop that into the story somehow. And again, Little tiny projects like this are such a good place to experiment with new techniques, new paradigms. You don't have to loop it into full production. This is actually a great way of figuring out whether or not you should. Now, I'd like to tell you a little story. In around the year 2020 or so, when I was just making a few videos and working for myself, I decided I'd prototype a VR game in around 7 days or so. So I did, and I popped it online. The feedback was really good. One person even said it was one of their favorite VR games ever, a cult classic. Awesome. I wish I could find that comment. I really can't, but really, really good stuff. It meant such a lot to me at the time. So I decided that I would build a full version and commercially release it in 6 months. And so I set to as diligently as I possibly could. I designed out the script, we did it properly, there was a GDD. It was looking really nice and I got a tremendous amount of it built. But 6 months came and went, and I asked myself, why? Well, scope creep is extremely difficult to keep a lid on. That's one of the big ones. One of the others is complexity compounds exponentially rather than linearly. So the bigger something gets, I find it's exponentially harder to pull it off than just being as many times harder as it is bigger. But if you work for yourself, if you do this kind of thing, you just have to send it. So we powered on and a really good chunk of the game was built. Lovely. And this isn't a bad thing, I was extremely lucky. I got a job in the industry. My foot was in the door and I began to work across the world. I became co-founder of a tech company. I got to travel Europe. I got to speak at Harvard, which is mental. It was amazing. But to do all of that, I had to mothball the project I'd put about 9 months in total into. Fast forward to late 2023 or so, and a very close friend of mine, who runs a game dev studio in Rome, said, why didn't you finish it? And I said, well, you know why, I'm busy. And he said, okay, let's do it together. Let's co-develop it. It can be our first big project. Hopefully the first of many. Let's do it properly. Let's not hack it. Let's not prototype it. Let's deliver a fully polished, fully realized commercial project. And in 2024, I launched Full Dive Games. So far it's been awesome, and we're getting pretty close to shipping this game. We've taken it so far to Gamescom, it's been to Tokyo. Somehow it was even announced on IGN. And it's been playtesting really, really well in the closed betas. We're so happy. And actually, the public demo is about to come out soon. But the main reason I bring it up is because I kind of got reflecting as I was building this prototype that a lot of the initial hooks that pulled me into that full project started to pull me here. The trees wanted to rustle. That little point-light character wanted to dart around the player when they were angry or happy or sad. They wanted to emote. The animations wanted to get better. The silly, hacky interactions that I had wanted to get more rich and nuanced and designed. The puzzles wanted to get more complicated. But in service of what? The whole point of this was just to have a bit of fun, flex a few ideas, warm up a few old muscles, and test a few new features in Unreal. For those big projects, if you let them, they'll take you across the world. It's awesome. It's great. I heavily recommend just absolutely sending on it, as long as you've got the drive to follow through. But good Lord, do you have to watch the scope of your small ones? And that's kind of my way of saying that this is going to be a two-parter. But we are going to answer one very, very important question, and that's, is this better for performance? And can it run on a Steam Deck? Let's have a look. So, cue the jazz. Let's get that pace back going and see if we can wrap up in just a couple of minutes. So, first things first. Our exponential height fog used Unreal's new fog screen space scattering effect. What a mouthful. What it basically does is actually blur the image the deeper into the fog you go, so everything gets kind of hazy and murky. It simultaneously looks absolutely incredible and also moderately blurry, almost like it's an accident. I think it's mostly an art direction thing, but overall, it's great. Next, I really like MegaLights. It has a slightly less sharp shadow than virtual shadow maps, but what you get back is a tremendous amount of performance. My understanding is the more lights you put in the scene, the more kind of blurry each light gets. I think it'll absolutely have its place in the future of games, but I'd still love to see some classically performant long-distance lights in Unreal. Ultimately, virtual shadows and nanite and MegaLights are the key to unlocking way more complicated levels, but at the cost of it being really hard to go above 60 frames per second. There's basically just a CPU base cost that you have to pay to run those systems. But as CPUs and memory get faster, maybe that'll be negated. And don't forget, bigger games don't always mean better. In fact, they almost never do. What have numbers and scale got to do with fun? Fun's about connection. Just pick the tech art pipeline that works for the kind of game you want to make. Easy. Cool, okay, nice, what's next? Ah yes, when you move a point light through exponential height fog, there's a heavily temporal effect. It's kinda horrible. In order to bypass this, you have to change the history rate of the volumetric fog. Then it looks fine, at the cost of a bit more noise in your fog. Yeah. Oh, and we absolutely could not use temporal super resolution. There was a horrible gathering effect that just absolutely broke the fog at this density against the trees. Have a look. Rough. Oh, snap. And we've run out of jazz. Do we have any more? That's not what I had in mind. But to hell with it, let's just continue. So, I built the game out and ran it on my desktop, and also on the Steam Deck. And the answer is, yeah, it absolutely runs. But honestly, that scene with all the trees, horribly optimized by default. I think there's a whole video in and of itself is how to make that run real nice. So I also revived the old Infinity Blade Grasslands area. This was a level that was built for a mobile game like 15 years ago. Crazy. So by modern standards, it could basically run on a toaster. So I threw it into the game and switched it up to real-time lighting specifically to test the medium global illumination. And it definitely runs a lot better. But in this test, I still had to cut down the screen percentage to hit 60. Though, I suspect that's primarily because I kept virtual shadows set to a minimum of high, and that was so we would get proper fog shadowing in the other level, which was kind of a requirement of the narrative. But I think it really does impact the frame rate. But, in effect, these are some really promising early tests of Lumen running at good frame rates on the Steam Deck. Does that mean I can, like, run it in VR? Run it on my phone? Run it on my fridge? Or to be more technical, does this just improve the frame rate on low-end hardware, or is this a way to get above 60 FPS? One to test on a future video, I think. But for today, I just had the most brilliant time, just feeling free enough, just to try stuff, just because I can. And we'll get it finished properly in the next one. You'll notice, for example, that I absolutely did not mention Unreal 5.8's MCP integration, and the whole question around how games might be developed in the future. Could be a way to finish the project, but it does come with baggage, and it's not a magic wand. And, importantly, for our commercial projects, and for small projects, we don't lean on generative AI. We don't even use it. Games like this are about forming a connection between players, developers, storytellers. It's a human transaction. But it would, no doubt, make the basis for a contentious and interesting video. So, as we wrap, I will run a recording of a work-in-progress playthrough. Plenty of polish that I'd love to do. But it's already enough to communicate the idea. So, now all that's left to do is just to say a massive and colossal thank you. Thank you for watching. And check out Project Remind on Steam. It's a kind of project that most types of studios wouldn't make. Maybe couldn't make. Something that we hope will be rare and personal and special for each player. And with that, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Hmm? visitor. Hi. Hello there. How did you get in here? Oh well, welcome. Welcome to, this place. Sorry about all the fog. We're having some technical issues with, well, all this fog. But don't worry about it. The fog isn't a big deal, you know, it's not that thick. I'll guide you through. I know exactly where we need to go. So, follow me. Come on then. Let's be off. Come on. Come on. Okay, nice. You figured out the gist. Moving through the fog. I'm a glowing light. Nice. Let's just keep going, hey? Let's come straight over here. I know exactly where we need to go. Right this way. Right this way, please. Come on then. Come on. Come. Hey. Did that particle system just go inside you? I really hope it didn't. It definitely, it wasn't meant to, that's for sure. Whatever that thing was. I, of course, have absolutely no knowledge, but really, I really hope that it didn't. Okay. No worries. Just promise me one thing, okay? Whatever you do not press F to scan, okay? Got it? Do not press F to scan. It's vitally important you don't press F to scan.